Hello, Shoyan here. Today, I'm working on the main roof soffit. I'm building a 5-meter long box eave above the door and the sliding glass door. I'm starting with the soffit on the main roof, but something unexpected is happening. A pair of swallows stopped by to check out the house. One of them accidentally flew inside and didn't come out for quite a while. To my surprise, the other one waited patiently outside for over an hour until his partner returned. This house only has soffits on the main roof, not the lower roof. The underside of the eaves doubles as a ventilation space, also known as a ridge vent. This system allows air to flow through the walls and underside of the eaves. Air intake vents with holes are attached to the fascia board to bring in fresh air. From there, the air moves up to the ridge, completing the ventilation system. For the triangular rake side, I built a ladder-like frame instead of installing each part individually. This method is simpler. First, I measure the rake from the peak to the base, then I build the ladder-shaped frame. The soffit boards will be installed lengthwise and diagonally upward, with the frame's crossbars supporting the shorter side. Even with multiple crossbar spacings, the frame can be built on the floor once I've measured everything. Since the installation is just a matter of screwing the frame in place, I think this method is pretty common. Now that the frame is complete, I move on to attaching the air intake vents to the fascia before installing the soffit boards. The fascia has pre-cut grooves for the vent plates, so I insert and secure them. The vent plates are made of sturdy steel. I initially tried cutting them with thin snips, but their shape made that tricky. In the end, I used a grinder to get the job done. Next, I cut the soffit boards. I'm using 10mm thick cedar boards without nuts as usual. Since these boards will be painted, I don't need to be too selective, but I still aim for a consistent color. I start by planning the placement of each soffit board carefully to make sure the installation goes smoothly. When planning, boards always seem to fit perfectly. However, small installation misalignments can shift positions, requiring a narrow board at one end. To avoid this, I place smaller boards about half the width on both ends. This balances both ends and prevents excessively narrow boards on one side. Installing the boards is simple. I just need to align them properly and keep everything square. The trickiest part is fitting the last soffit board. There are grooves on all four sides of the barge boards and fascia boards. The beams also have a groove. Fitting the boards perfectly on four sides can be challenging, but I make small adjustments to ensure a clean finish. When installing soffit boards along the rake, they can always be installed from the outer barge board side, which features a groove. This way, I can adjust the position as needed at the wall side. So, installing soffits on the rake is easier. Now that the soffit is installed, I move on to the box eave. There's only one box eave on this house, and it's 5 meters long. Even though it's long, it extends less than usual. This shorter overhang is intentional because the main roof is also short. Heavy snow often builds up in this area. If it slides off, a longer box eave could be damaged or even collapse. I think it's better not to make it too short, especially since this is an eave. But while keeping it shorter won't completely stop snow from sliding off, I make it a little shorter than usual. I do as much work on the timber for the box eave in the workshop as possible. Tools like the jointer and planer make it much easier to shape pieces, whether it's a single fascia board or multiple boards of the same size. It's also cleaner and more efficient to handle long pieces in the workshop rather than making a mess on site by rabbeting, planing, and grooving. In traditional construction, brackets and decorative boards were used, which produced much waste. I complete about 80 to 90% of the work in the workshop and leave just the assembly for the site. Now that I'm at the site, I assemble the box eave. It's called a box eave because it looks like a box. Once installed, only the outer parts, like the fascia and soffit, are visible. The internal rafters are hidden. I use screws to secure it to the wall, ensuring it is sturdy even though only screws are used. The exposed boards for the box eave are the same as the Soffit boards. Cutting and planning the placement of each board is straightforward. I test fit each board to make sure the last one aligns properly. Then I remove them, apply glue, and secure them with staples. Since these boards are short, I can use offcuts from the Soffit, which simplifies the process. Now, it's time to install the box eave. Even though it's 5 meters long, it's manageable for one person to carry since it's already assembled and sturdy. However, installing it while stepping on the scaffolding is difficult, so I needed extra help. I made a big mistake. The box eave was at an awkward height, so instead of using a ladder, I attached the horizontal pole to the vertical pole of the scaffolding and stepped on it. The pole wasn't securely connected on both sides, so it spun and hit the glass door. That was a hard lesson. Laziness never pays off. After regrouping, I installed the box eave. As I mentioned earlier, only screws are used to install it. I used 2 long screws for each position. While it may not support extremely heavy snow concentrated in one spot like 300 to 500 kilograms, the structure is surprisingly strong once fully assembled. Next, I installed a roof sheathing and a waterproofing sheet. It'd be great if the metal roofer could start soon, but they seem busy at the moment. For now, the box eave is weatherproof. Lastly, I plugged the holes in the boards in front of the eave to complete the box eave installation. Now, The main roof soffit and the box eave above the sliding glass door are completed. I made a mistake, but I'm glad I finished before it started raining. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.